Hello, hello.
Hello.
Welcome, guys. Welcome to Open Shutter this Wednesday, the
That's it.
16th of September,
Crazy.
2020.
Hmm.
Tonight is going to be a fun night, as usual. We're here, and let me mute my monitoring right here. So tonight's going to be a good night. We have 5 people on today. We're still waiting for one more. He's coming up soon. But as you know, today we are talking about a few things. We're talking about how to get started with building your own um, brand or trying to find your own kind of style of photography, right? So we all start photography, and sometimes it becomes so hard for us to figure out what's my style, what do I like doing, how do I build a brand, how do I make stand out from all of the other photographers out there? What is
Mhm.
it about my style that is unique, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes it's hard to build, but today that's what we are going to discuss. We're discussing about how to go about that. And so there's going to be 5 people, 5 panelists talking and discussing. So it's going to be fun. But before we get going, before I go any deeper, we're going to go around and then do an introduction of ourselves. But a few housekeeping. All the panelists for today, I have their links down in the description area. Go check them
Yeah.
out. Instagram, YouTube, it's all in there.
Yeah.
As well, you will also see that in the comment in the description below. We've also created a new Facebook group, right, for photographers and videographers to share your work, share and ask questions. So if you have any questions, if you have any, videos, pictures that you want to share, feel free to always pop in there. The link is in below. Join the group and continue to share, right? That's how we grow. We grow by sharing and getting constructive criticism. So the purpose of the group is for us all to come together, constructively criticize ourselves and help each other grow. So check out that group, join in, and
Yeah.
we go. So let's start introductions. Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks so much, Evans, for getting Kobe on again and getting Michael. He's going to be coming on shortly, but I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think it's a really cool topic. And yeah, if you guys don't know me, hi Gilbert, hi Kojo. Thanks for coming on. Hey Kim. And for those of you guys who don't know me, I run a photography group in Toronto called Get Out Shoot. So you can find us at getoutshoot.com. We do weekly meetups and all kinds of craziness. And yeah, my YouTube channel is basically vlogs of the meetups. Evans is basically in all of them, and so is Brian, who's not here. But yeah, go check out the channel if you haven't. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good chat. I think sometimes it's hard to find your style because I think a lot of people sometimes get stuck in actually just starting. So I think it's going to be a good discussion on how to actually start, because I think starting is the hardest part of photography and anything that you want to do creatively. So yeah, I'm pumped. That's my pitch.
All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody, to today's show. And today we're going to, just like both of them have said already, we're going to talk about finding your style. And I think it's important, but it shouldn't be the very first thing you do. The very first thing you do is get to understand a little bit of everything, be all rounded, and then you can niche down. And then that way, I mean, that's my perspective, right? But let's say you just start off learning just one aspect and that one aspect only, and you become a master of it. You're still a photographer. You might need to fill in or do something one day, and you need to have an idea what goes on in other fields. So, all right, that's what we're going to talk about today.
That's a good teaser, man. That's a good
Wow.
teaser.
You guys are making it difficult and difficult to introduce ourselves. Hello, everyone. Yeah, this is Kobe Katalist Photography on IG. It's always fun being on Open Shutter because we talk about things and learn from each other and we grow together.
Yeah.
Today's topic is a topic which is really difficult for me to communicate because sometimes people misconstrue style and then brand. And I think during our discussion, we'll try as much as possible to let you understand the difference between the two, and then how you can harness your style in order to build up your brand, in order to earn more. I'm really about the making money aspect of everything.
Oh
so
yeah, I like
here I
making
am.
money. I think people want to make money too. They just don't know how to
Exactly.
do it, right?
Mhm. So Evans, it's on you now.
You're on mute, buddy. You're on mute. You're fired. You're fired.
You're mute.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, my kids are making noise in the background, so I kind of put myself on mute there for a little bit. But you guys know me. My name is Evans. I am the host for today. I've tried to do moderator job as much as possible, and try to ask the tough questions. Play the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be talking about trying to find out what our style is, and as Kobe just said, style is not the same as brand. There's a difference between your brand and your style, right? There's a lot of things that goes into a brand, just the same way as there's a lot of things that goes into your styling. To start off, I would say that there are basically maybe two key items that you probably need to take care of at the beginning when you are looking to build your style, and it has two components that you'd have to combine, one of them being your shooting style, and then the other also being your editing style. Those two things can combine to create a unique kind of look for you. So those are the two things that I would say we go look out for. But just before we go on, give me a second. I think Michael is in the chat. I'm trying to send him. So Michael, if you're in the chat, I've sent you the StreamYard link in the chat as well. You can use that to join us.
Or anybody else who wants to jump on and crash it, feel free to.
Hey, what's up, Ganada Wex? How you doing? Thanks for joining us, bro. All right, so let's go. So let's get started. Who wants to take the floor first and talk about what developing your style entails?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I'll just take it from the very start.
Define what a style is, right?
Well, what's a style?
Distinguish between the style and the brand. So let's do that first. Let's talk about what's a style in terms of photography or being a creative. What's a style, and how does it differ from your brand?
And I don't know. How would I classify a style and a brand? Style, I think you just kind of mentioned that it's just basically how you edit photos or how you approach photos, right? If you go to, big names on Instagram and you look at their grid, you know immediately who they are, right? Just based on their editing process. So that to me is a style, but I guess I have a hard time maybe explaining what brand is. I don't know. I've never actually thought of it that way, to be honest with you.
Well, let me see. Let me try and see if I can try and distinguish it a little bit.
For sure.
For me, a style is more of the technique. It's more of the technique in terms of the skill itself, the skill you have as a photographer. That's where your style comes in. So you can look at a style and then a brand, the difference between a style and a brand from, let's take music, for instance. If you take someone like, say, Rihanna, and then someone like, like Kanye West, all right? When you pick the two of them, you can say, in terms of the style, it's how they sing, the genre of music that they do. Rihanna being R&B and then Kanye being hip hop. So that's the style. So in the same sense, in terms of photography, you look at the style. How does a person shoot? How does a person, edit? What is the color grade choice of the person? Some of these aspects, it deals more with the technical stuff. But in terms of brand, you're looking at everything in the entirety, like the whole thing. So just like in music as well, when you are looking at brand, you are looking at the person's music, the genre of music they sing, the lifestyle that they have, the way they communicate on social media, the way they bring up their income or their income sources and everything. That's the brand. So the same as in photography, you have the style being there, which is more of the technique. And then the brand is when you mention the name of the person.
Yeah.
How do people associate with that person? Do they say, oh, this guy is really focused on corporate stuff. This guy is really focused on fashion stuff. The way he goes about his work is he shoots with high-end cameras. He shoots with a big team. He doesn't shoot with just few lights. He likes a lot of lights. Now you're going to the style, but then you are going way beyond the style to give the brand a holistic view. So I don't know if I've done enough justice to it, but
I kind of get it.
Yeah,
I kind of get it. Yeah.
So the style is like a subset of the brand as a whole. Yeah.
So let's welcome Michael to
Hey,
the
Michael.
show.
Where's Michael hiding?
Introduce yourself.
Sorry for coming in late. You know, it's been a while. I used my setup, so it got a bit rusty, and I had to oil it. So I hope my sound is clear enough.
Your sound is clear, but we can't see you.
You can't see me.
You're very dark.
Oh, I noticed this. Okay, so you guys know what? Just carry on. Let me just see what I can do. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm Ghananie Photography from Accra, Ghana. I think I'm the only odd one here.
So Kobe, I like the way you went about it.
Yeah, I like that.
So as we were saying, style is for me, it all comes down to the actual work that we are seeing, right? So style is what you're putting out there in terms of the output, your photographic output or your video style output. And brand, it's basically the whole package, what we see plus what we don't see, right? So when we go into branding, we are talking about your logo, your work ethics, you know, your
website,
all of that will come to how you brand yourself, even how you dress to a shoot, right?
Yeah.
How you interact with your clients and stuff can all be part of your brand.
Yeah.
But your style is what they actually see. So when I look at somebody's work, when I look at Katalist work, I have to say sometimes you're able to tell just by the look of the image without even knowing that who shot it and say, this looks like a work from somebody, right? So that's how people will identify your style, right? Because that's what they have seen. Even though we're all photographers, we're all shooting, there may be one unique thing about the style, which could be the way you shoot or even the way you edit, that will set your style apart from my style, right? But the hardest question is, when you start photography, at what point do you begin to develop or see your style? And how do you go about identifying what your style is?
Yeah. I think when you start, you have to shoot as much as possible.
All right. I think I'm in a good position to talk about this because I'm still trying to figure out
your style.
Not my style, but decide on my branding, decide on what to do. I'm slowly getting a hang of my style and what I can do consistently. And like when I started back in Pennsylvania, I was doing a lot of weddings, right? And as a person from the diaspora, I was doing a lot of Nigerian and Ghanaian weddings. But with time, I didn't want to do a lot of that. So what did I do? I stopped posting those pictures on my social media.
Yeah.
So I would do it, get paid for the gig, but I started posting gigs that I wanted to do, which were less stressful, shorter, because I had so many other things going on in my life at that time. So I was able to drive the attention from that side to a different side, more portraits, family photos, and stuff like that. So, but right now I'm learning what I can do consistently on a regular basis. And I think that's where I want to build on and kind of make that my branding. So I'm still working on that. But it's important, like I said earlier, to let's say you want to be a headshot photographer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you only perfect headshot photography. Like you have no idea or how to do any other kind of photography. It may not necessarily be a bad thing, but you may find yourself in a pinch someday where you will not even have all the gear you need for your headshot photography.
Right.
And you need to apply certain techniques to get a good headshot. And then you'll be caught with your pants down. So it's good to have an all-round understanding before you focus on a niche. Yeah. All right.
I don't know. I have a different view when it comes to style, to be honest. I know that there are basically two ways of developing your style in terms of shooting, not in terms of the other category that Evans mentioned earlier. I feel in terms of shooting, there is the unconscious bias towards creating a style without necessarily intentionally doing it. And then there is an intentional style of, creating that particular kind of look, in the sense that it's human nature. The more you do something consistently, you develop a specific skill in that. So let's say, for instance, if Paul is a landscape shooter, normally what he will focus on is the composition. Focus on the composition, the dynamic range, making sure the details are in there. With time, he's going to develop a specific kind of composition where probably he will always love to have a tree on the lower one or something like that, or have, let's say, a cityscape, a tall building right in the center of it. It's an unconscious bias, something that he would develop without even knowing that he's developing. And that's where people tend to say, for instance, oh, I don't have a style. But then when people see their work, they're able to say, this is Paul's work. Before now, they tend to realize that, oh, I actually have some consistency or some key elements in my pictures that resonates with me or with my brand. So that is there. And then there is a conscious one where someone wants to say, I want to focus on 3 lights. All my pictures, I want it to come out with 3 light setup: key light, hair light, key light, hair light, and then fill light. Maybe that's what they want to do. And then they mix it up with the composition. And then it creates this particular look for them. And they go with that look consistently for a year because that's what they want. So that is also there. I think what most people are afraid of is the conscious styling. I am a big fan of conscious styling, although I don't practice it. I feel it's more rewarding at the end because you tend from the beginning, right from the beginning, you have people who resonate with that particular style, appreciating your work. And the more people who are in that nuclear space that appreciate that particular style, let's say you have 20,000 people that like just that style, compared to you have 100,000 people and only 5,000 people actually like your style. I mean, the 20,000 that like your style totally, it resonates with them, and it's possible that any job coming from them is going to be big. So that's how I see it. Like, it's going to take time for people to appreciate the conscious stylist, but then it's going to be much more rewarding than the unconscious stylist. That's how I see it. So maybe, as you were saying, at the beginning, you were getting weddings, right? People come to you, a wedding.
I didn't just say weddings. I said Ghanaian and Nigerian weddings.
But you were getting the weddings, right? And at the same time, you were getting people who came in for different kind of portrait shoots. Anytime, anywhere, they don't really care about what style. They just tell, oh, Charlie, I have this kind of concept. Can we produce it? And then it happens. Maybe it's not as rewarding as you would expect. But let's take someone like Peter Hurley that we discussed the last time. If someone is going to Peter right now, they know the kind of headshots that they want, and they know he can produce that. So if he says, I'm charging you $1,000 per headshot, they are already prepared to pay that.
You know what's
they are
funny?
going for his
You know,
look.
that's actually how much he charges. 1,100.
Exactly. Because they are
Yeah.
going for his look. You understand? They want the person. They are going for his look. He has done it so long that their style has become a large percentage of his brand. But
So-
you and someone is coming for headshot from you, it's likely the person will be looking at, say, 200, 250. You understand? And then even that one, when you mention it, they are probably going to debate it because they will say you are not really a master of the style.
Right. So it's
see, I understand what you are saying from that angle, and it's obvious. The people who on Instagram, if they focus on just macro photography, they are more successful, right? But
in the long run, not
in the
at the
long run. But sometimes even at the beginning, once they set yourself apart, it's easy to get a following. But here's the thing, photographers, we are people, right? And we get blocks. Sometimes you get to a point where, well, personally, I have a friend who does just black and white pictures, right? And I couldn't just sit down and just do black and white pictures all my life. And knowing very well that there will be a time that you'll be in a block and you need to switch and you need to have a different feel. So it's personally, if I cannot limit myself too easily, too quickly to something and then stick to it forever, because the success might look successful in the eyes of people, but I will be depressed. Mentally, it's just gonna not be something that will work for somebody like me. I would need to have other venues where I can go and release and then come back to what I do. Yeah.
All right. So just I'll come back to your point again, but just to clarify what Canada Works was saying, let me take it to another different field or industry altogether. Let's take soccer, or what Ghanania will understand as football.
Yes, football.
What I will understand as well.
Let's take it for instance.
That's what I understand as football too.
Yeah.
Those who focus or specialize, okay, in a specific style of play. Let's consider the main two, Cristiano Ronaldo and then Lionel Messi. They get paid more than the utility players, like John O'Shea, or let's say Nathan Miles. Let's look at those kind of players, utility players who can play any position. They don't get paid as much as those who are specialized in their position, like Mbappe, Neymar, De Gea, those kind of people. It's the same way that I'm saying that those who have specialized or who have built their style for it to become a specialization for them in terms of photography, they tend to earn more in the long run than those who shoot everything or shoot anything at all that comes their way. That's what I'm trying to say. It takes time. It's a long process, but then it's rewarding.
I didn't dispute that. I'm not
disputing. I'm clarifying it for Ghana that works. Not you.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Yes. No, I didn't dispute that at all.
Yeah. Now back to
I get that when you are specialized in a particular way, or genre, like I'll call it, right? Because you can be specialized in a particular genre of photography, right? But still within that genre, you may not have developed your style completely, right? So I may want to specialize in headshots, and all I do is do headshots, but I still may not have a style that is unique to me within that headshot space. If what I'm saying makes sense.
Yep.
Well, it makes sense. It makes sense to me. It makes sense. But Evans, you bear with me that if you are to shoot head styles for a whole year, you develop an unconscious style.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah,
definitely. And also the example you gave earlier, Kobe, you were talking about Cristiano Ronaldo and other, but what we don't see is the strikers who have specialized but are not successful. They are in the shadow, right? And those
Yes, the flops.
exactly, those midfielders who can almost fit anywhere, ACN and co. When there's the need for this, they are able to fit in different places. So
Lampard.
Lampard, exactly. So the approach is just different approach, but obviously when you specialize, you will make more money if money is what your only goal. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Let me just say this so I'll end and then others can come in. Here's the thing. Those who specialize or who have a specific style, I'll say about only 10% come out very, very successful. I'll be very honest.
Mhm.
Because you don't have a lot of people appreciating, you have just a niche of people appreciating that style. And sometimes it can even become your downfall because people feel, well, he can't go outside the box, outside his box. And for instance, somewhere like in the commercial field, when you are too specialized, you might end up losing about 80% of the jobs that are supposed to come your way because they feel like you can't go outside your box. Your portfolio is just skewed to one particular style. So
Okay, so
it's
Michael
just
haven't spoken yet, so I'm going to go to Michael. Michael, tell us something. What do you think about specializing and developing your style? So of all, I mean, between all three, all five of us, I would say the people that I see that kind of have a little bit of specialization or style going on will be Michael and Kobe, and
no,
maybe.
just Michael and then Paul.
But for me, I'm still developing my style, right?
I'm still developing my style too.
Yeah, so
I don't have
the
a style
style
yet.
sense is not something that comes with maybe 2 3 years of work. It comes over time, right? The more you are shooting, the more jobs you're doing, the more you are out there practicing, you build your style along the way, and your style will evolve from time to time, right? Michael, I see, has his own style already mastered and going, right? So Michael,
Right?
tell us today, how did you go about developing your style?
Okay, so first of all, I apologize for my inconsistency, my lighting.
The lighting.
I think it
It's
uses me,
good.
so I had to show that behavior, so I'll get to know that. Yeah, I need to get back. Okay, so with the style, the truth is I'm still developing my style. I don't have a specific style yet, even though people, there was a time, Catalyst, you remember we had this the challenge where we put I think 5 photographers, one model, and we send all the images to one moderator. He posts all 5 images, then people are to go through and then select their best without knowing who shot them. So
Yeah.
I posted them on my status, and I realized most people were able to tell which particular images were mine.
Mhm.
Right.
So that has to do with the style. Now, when I started, I decided to look up to some of these photographers. One was Clay Cook, and then Denny Diamond. And Denny Diamond had a specific style. When you see his images, you know this is from Denny Diamond. Same thing with Clay Cook, and then some other guys. So I was like, okay, I need to develop. It could be the way I grade, my kind of retouching, or maybe there should be something that's unique to me, that when anybody sees my image without my logo on, they'll be able
Yeah.
to tell that this is my image. So I decided to develop a like for cooler images. So back then I was desaturating my images, so I take off this yellowish, like reddish thing out of my images to get cooler colors. But then later, people were like, "Your images lack vibrancy and all that." I'm like, "No, that's how I like it. I don't like too hot images or these
Yeah.
colors and stuff." And now, by the help of Capture One, I'm still developing my style. The current style now, it's getting towards this melanin kind of thing, and then giving this tint green. So Katalist, I don't know if you've noticed, but most of my outdoor images now have this kind of look that flows through. And then people keep asking, can we have your presets? And I tell them, I don't even have
You don't
each
have
image. I
presets?
have to, yes, I have to develop it and all that. But then now I'm trying to save the presets in Capture One so I can give them out. Those who want to use them. I'm not a fan of presets. I'm like,
You don't like? Yeah, I think you mentioned that before.
yes, if I
Yeah.
have my images all look this way and you want me to give you my presets, I'll give them to you. At the end of the day, your images look like my images. You don't have a style.
Right.
See? So
Yeah.
I encourage people, even if you like my style, just look at my images. Learn how I create those styles and then find your own balance. If you look at someone like Click Coffee, even without his logo, you know that this is his style. But even that Catalyst, am I allowed to go a
Yeah,
bit?
feel free.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Click Coffee, I think he belongs to a kind of group where they all use that kind of style. So in the beginning, you see that an image, and you're like, oh, you don't know whether it's from this particular person or this other person, just because they belong to the same group and they use the same presets. But then he managed to tweak it in a way that added something unique to it. So when you see it, you know that this particular image is from Click Coffee. The same thing with Seller Pixelate. I see Seller's images and I know this is from Seller because of his style.
Hmm.
So to those coming, please don't just look at somebody's and be like, I need your presets or I'm going to do just like this. Look at it, learn, find out what is it. Is it that this person likes moody images? This person likes vibrant colors, or this person kills all hot colors and then keeps only the cooler ones, or this person likes making every skin dark, whether you're fair or not, it makes you dark. So get to know what you like. If you want, you can let the person teach you how they arrive at that style. Then you can just tweak the colors, make it yours. Don't go in, okay,
Yeah.
Ghananie uses frequency separation all the time and that kind of thing. I noticed one thing. Catalyst said what you airbrush and then add noise. It became a common thing that everybody was doing. And I was like, how come I can't achieve that? Because I don't see how I will smoothen the image and then add artificial force
Texture.
on it. I prefer keeping the natural texture.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, I don't sharpen my images. And people are like, your images are always sharp. How do you sharpen them? I'm like, no, I don't. First of all, I don't destroy the skin. So there is no need for me to sharpen the image. I maintain the person's texture.
Hmm.
See, yes, unless sometimes when I go overboard based on the client's need, then I'm like, oh, let me just increase the sharpness a bit. But most of the time, I try to keep it as natural as possible. So find your style, develop it, and then stick to it. That's what I have to say.
It's good. I
Awesome,
like it.
awesome. So that's what I was gonna come up to. That we've defined a style. We've talked about what the difference is between style and brand, and now we're heading into crafting your own style, right? And we just hit on the nail on one of the ways to do it. One of the ways is not copying, but looking at other people's work, right? And using that for inspiration, right?
Mhm.
So you're gonna learn from other people, but you're not copying them like for like, but you are learning from them, right? So that through that learning process, you develop your own style. So,
Hmm.
for example, in the last couple of weeks, I've been using Capture One based on Ghanaian's recommendation, right? So, for about a month and a half now, I've been using Capture One, and I'm liking Capture One.
Yeah.
But there's a
Awesome.
little bit of differences because I've been using Lightroom all my life, and all of a sudden I'm on Capture One. So I've been watching Ghanaian's videos a lot because he has a lot of tutorials on Capture One. But what I found myself doing is that, see, he is a frequency separation guy. and he uses the mixer brush tool to do his frequency separation. I like the end results. It's beautiful, but that's not my style. Because let's face it, I'm a wedding shooter. He's a portrait guy, right? Mainly portrait. I do portraits, but not as portraits like high-end retouching portraits like he do. I do portraits as I go, but mostly weddings. So I'm not going to spend 30 minutes on one image to do frequency separation. Right? Frequency separation with the mixer brush tool. So I still keep my own old style of frequency separation. But then what I found myself doing in the last couple of edits is that after using the quick way of doing frequency separation, which is using the Gaussian blur tool, the lasso tool, I go over on top and I do a little bit of the mixer brush, right? And I'm liking it that way, right? So even though I'm learning, I'm watching other people's video, I'm not trying to make my images look exactly like this, because then at the end of the day, it's not your style. You're just trying to copy somebody. You're trying to mimic somebody. You have to be able to look at other people's work, learn from them, adapt it in your own way, right? And come up with something unique, something different. Right?
Yeah, which is the hard part.
Which is the hard part, right? And that takes time. That takes time. It could take years to get to that point where you feel like this is my style, right? I wish Brian was here, because if you go on Brian's grade, you're going to see Brian's style of edit, right? And Brian's style, it's moody.
Moody, man.
Has a lot of
like Gotham City.
Yeah, darkness to it, right? And you see his grade. It's beautiful. That's his style. So if I see an image, I can tell this is Mr. Brian James, right?
Shout out Mr. Brian James if he's on the chat.
And you know what? While we are on the topic, let's bring up Peter Hurley once again, right? So from a video I saw years ago, and I'm pretty sure he probably charges more than that today. He said he was charging $1,100 to do a 30-minute headshot for people in New York, and he was booked most of the time. So they actually, I don't know if you guys have seen that video where they filmed him. He went through the process of how he went about his headshot and even the edit. This guy barely edits. The only editing he would do on the face is maybe remove a few pimples on the face. That's it. No frequency separation, no smoothing, nothing. Everything is with the continuous lights that he uses. He positions everything so well that, in fact, there's no hole in your face that is going to have a shadow. So it's like that's his style, and very efficient, and he's able to make it work, and all the top guys still go to him. But I'm sure it took him several years to get to where he is and able to do that. So
we should get him on the show, man.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah. Can you email him? Can you email him? We should all email him
that, man. I don't know, man. I don't know how much we can pay him, but
exposure, man. Exposure.
He doesn't need our exposure.
We all need exposure.
And guys, in the comments, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, don't forget you can join the conversation. That's why we're all here, right? We all learn questions. So leave your questions in there, put your comments in there as we go. If you have any things you want to share, feel free to add it in there.
So even for me, about 4 years ago, somebody reached out, wanted to do a beach bikini shoot. But then I was close to New Jersey, so I could do it technically. But then I just told them that I just don't do bikini shoots. It's just one thing I planned when I started photography that I'm not going to do that. And it's just a personal decision that I made. And this girl literally told me that I won't make it in photography. Like, you won't survive 2 years. You know, like, she couldn't wrap her head around it. Like, are you serious? Like, you know, or do I not look good? I said, look at my grade. If you find one bikini picture, tell me, I'll pay you $1,000. So, and up to date, like, I still get a lot of those requests, but it's just a matter of sticking to stuff that I want to do and I'm comfortable with. And that's just So
Okay,
that's like
think,
slowly.
send them to Ghana.
I think Mix is just afraid of temptations.
Yeah, to me,
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. This is America, right? I cannot be right. So. Oh man.
Oh man.
You can't shoot everything though. You gotta have some limitations.
Yeah. Like my limit is a funeral. I don't shoot funeral.
You don't shoot funeral?
Look at that.
Yeah.
I've shot a couple of funerals, but those funerals that I've shot were like
I didn't know there was funeral photography.
It's an African thing.
It's an African thing.
we always find an excuse to celebrate.
Celebrate. You have a party for a 1-year-old baby. You have a party for that baby. That baby knows not that you're even having a party for.
They don't know.
The one thing I vow to myself I'm not doing is funerals. Like I've done a few funerals, and these are not like paid gigs. These are like family friends and stuff who have lost somebody, and they want pictures to keep. But the thing that gets me about funerals is that for me, it's more like when I come back home and I sit down and I edit, and I'm beginning to edit those pictures, and I see people in the caskets and stuff. It puts me to a place where I don't want to be, right? Like it makes me think about the whole life experience, and it takes me to a place where I don't want to be. So that's why I'm not into funerals. Me too, but like,
and you know, Evans, for you saying that, it made me remember one thing. I remember in a specific year, I think it was 2017. I was in a very, very bad place emotionally, and it's created a whole style for me without even realizing, because I really shoot my pictures with a lot of emotions. That's why I have a story to every single picture that I post out there. So what happened in 2017 is, like, I went through a bad, end to a relationship, and then it just took a toll of me. So I realized that for about 4 months, people kept telling me, "Oh, I like your style. I like your style." And then I went back through my pictures and I realized during that 4 months, I had been shooting very low light images in the studio, 2 lights or 3 lights, but it still has this.
It was your feeling at the time.
It has this dark mood to it.
Yeah.
And you realize that sometimes some of these things feed into your art as well. Someone who is an introvert, someone who is a minimalist, is likely to end up shooting minimalistic images.
Right.
And someone who is wild, crazy, like this Wong guy, I've forgotten the first name. Is it Ben Wong or something? Von Wong. Yeah. Shooting with the fire and all of this crazy stuff. You realize that once you watch an interview of them, you get to understand how they get into their style, because that's naturally how they are.
Yeah.
Hot-headed, and then going with all the risk and then reaping all the reward. So sometimes you might like someone's style of photography, but maybe that doesn't really resonate with your personality. And if you tend to go through that route of trying to copy it thorough, you will get to a point where you get stuck. And you start feeling a lot of creative block, because that's not your style. It's something that you are copying, you are learning.
You've borrowed it.
Exactly. It's not a style you're passionate about. So as Mick was saying at the beginning, there's someone who is shooting black and white, has been shooting black and white all this while. If Ghananie would remember, there is this guy, we call him the Professor, Nanaresh. This guy shoots street photography, loves black and white. He has been shooting it for years, since before I even started photography, and he still does what he likes to do. There is this other guy, Everyday Expectation, in Ghana. He has been shooting wildlife in Ghana, shooting birds. For the past 1 year, he has been shooting birds for 1 year. I mean, I can't do that. But then if I decide, oh, okay, I want to go into wildlife, so I want to copy him, I might get a breakdown. Someone like Chris Knight. Chris Knight shoots a lot of studio historic kind of painting feel to his images. He has been shooting that for years. The girlfriend shoots fashion and has been shooting it for years. You understand? But if you say, okay, I want to shoot like Chris Knight, do you really want to shoot like Chris Knight, or you appreciate his work?
Yeah.
Those are two different things. Exactly.
Yeah.
You can appreciate the work, but you can't throw away all your style and then say, this is what I want to do. Unless it's something you're passionate about and you feel like, yeah, this is good for my portfolio as well. So we should also look at our personality as well when we are trying to consciously learn a new style.
We're totally influenced by our past experiences, that's for sure. 100%. I like the question from Jaron Photography here. That's a great question.
Yep. He says, guys, is it not possible that sometimes external factors such as demand, the market, availability of resources, etc., can force one into a certain genre of photography than he or she originally intended?
Yeah. Well, you're basically following the money. You're basically following the money.
You want to say it because you shoot slay queens, and I don't think that's what you want to do.
Well, the truth is, if you're doing photography as a business, there are certain factors you will just overlook. If we have people who do photography as a side thing, others who do it as a hobby. So they have a main job. So they can decide, well, I want to do just maybe headshots, or I want to shoot just weddings because I don't have time to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Now, for someone like me that I'm doing this as a business, I'm looking at the business aspect. Aside the fact that I'm very emotional, so funerals, I don't want to see people sad, else I'll also be sad. So that one, no matter how much you're paying me, I won't shoot it. But then the other side, let's say you realize, okay, we are in an election year, and more politicians want to have coverage, and you have access to some of these people. But let's say for now, I do mostly studio and then weddings. And then these politicians are like, okay, we are doing, let's say, these donations and stuff, and we want you to follow us to do that. That's not part of my core things I do. But then the money is good. I'm a businessman. I need that money. So I'll put up a team. We go with them. It's a season. I mean, after this year, it's 4 years more before any other election. So as a business person, I'll take up that deal, execute it, get my money, deliver the job, and it ends there. I mean, that won't be part of my portfolio. That's a kind of thing.
Yeah, man.
Yes. Also, let's say with birthday, if this is the season where people keep calling, oh, I want to do a birthday shoot. I want to do a pre-birthday shoot. I have a birthday party and all that. I'm like, okay, on my portfolio, it's not stated there that I do pre-birthday shoots, but the request is coming and I need the money, so I'll do it.
Pay me.
Pick the money and then move on. So Jaron, yes, you may have your core things that you want to do. Let's say I'm doing just studio portraits or corporate portraits, but then once in a while, some of these things can, unless of course you're not doing it as a business and you can afford to turn down offers, like Selorm did. He turned down the bikini thing, and I was saying next time they come, just tell them you have a body in Ghana who will do it, so they should come. We have nice beaches. Yes. So if you're doing it as a business, you will overlook certain limitations, certain boundaries, and then go in for the offer. But if it's something you're doing just for fun, or you have some strict rules, then Charlie, you just have to apply them in it. So Jaron, you can move with the flow if the money is what matters to you.
Yep. Just to add to what Michael is saying, I remember in 2018, I was looking for money for my rent in Spentex. He's laughing because I was homeless then, not the US kind of homeless, but the African kind of homeless when you don't have your own space. So I was looking for money for it. So I had to create a whole genre of photography on its own, where I was shooting wedding decorations. So we have the event planners when they set up their tents and plates and flowers and everything. I go in there, I take pictures for them, about 30 minutes. They pay me, and then I come back home. And it was around November, December, so it was hot, a lot of weddings and stuff. And I needed a lot of money to pay my rent. So I created that niche for myself, though it wasn't my style. I created it. I was sometimes shooting six to 10 setups in one day or one weekend just to get by. I have about 300 setups, decor setups in my folder. But at the end of the day, as Ghananie said, it's for business purpose. That's not a style you want people to know you for. So although I have more than 300 setups, they're sitting in my external hard disk
You like
drive.
doing it? Did you have fun doing it though?
No, I never had fun doing that. But at the end of the day, they are sitting there in my folder. Nobody has seen it before, except
you should create a separate IP account.
Yeah, but I don't really want to shoot it at this point.
Under a fake name.
Yeah, right now I'm in a very comfortable position where I don't have to shoot. I don't have to shoot these decorations.
Wedding decorations?
Yeah, COVID decor. And at the end of the day, I didn't put it out there because I don't want that to be a style that I am associated with. So General Analysis said some factors or demands might put you in a certain space, but it doesn't mean you have to showcase that out there if you don't want that to be part of your style.
Yeah, you pick and choose, right?
Yeah, and I that's true. And I've been shooting a lot of decor as well, just because my wife is a decorator. So I gotta shoot some photos for her. But you will never see me post any of those on my Instagram or anything. She posts them and she tags me. I just like it, but I never put it on my own page, right? Because that's not me.
I used to shoot them. Sometimes I shoot some together and go take. Because it was
right. So in terms of business aspects, that's what we were saying at the beginning, that specialization matters. But at the same time, you've got to make an income out of this this job, right? And so you got to take the jobs that will pay and make the income, but you still want to be able to put yourself out there in terms of portfolio-wise on what you want to be known for, right? I bet you that there's some of these guys who has already developed their style and specialized. They still may be shooting other stuff, right? But they may not be putting it out there. Personally, I've been shooting a lot of streets and stuff, thanks to Paul, right? But I put up a lot more of portraits on my Instagram and stuff because I see myself as a weddings and portraits guy. But I love to go out with Paul and shoot the streets and shoot sunsets and shoot all that stuff, right? You cannot. Well, some people can afford to, but for me personally, I don't want to limit my creativity to a certain aspect, right? I want to be able to learn in general and be broad, because especially if you're a wedding photographer, you have to learn to shoot everything. Because if you're a wedding photographer, you are an architectural photographer, you are a food photographer, you are macro photographer, right? So you got to be able to practice some of these stuff and learn some of those aspects of photography as well. But we're going back and we're talking about developing your style, right? And we've already talked about how external factors, being the market and stuff, can affect you. We've also talked about how your own personality can also drive you towards a certain style of photography and way of edit. We are getting close. We are already at 55 minutes, right? So let's try to wrap up and say that what advice would you give to someone who has just started and is beginning to figure out what or how to go about crafting your style in a nutshell?
Yeah, I would basically say use what you have at the moment. Because I've had a lot of people ask me what camera body should I buy or what lens should I buy. I basically say, well, use whatever you have at the moment, and basically shoot as much as possible and shoot as many different styles. Because I think only after you shoot so much, you're going to figure out what you actually like to shoot, and then you can focus on that style, and then you can buy a lens that matches that style, right? It's hard to figure out what you like to shoot before you've actually started shooting. I think sometimes people have an idea. It's like, oh, I want to shoot landscape. Well, you've never shot landscape. How do you know that you like shooting landscape? Oh, I like the mountains. Okay, but have you done it? you need to do it to see if you actually like it. So I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I try to keep it simple, even for myself. If you look at my grid, it's really all over the place, and that's just because I like just shooting different stuff, and it just kind of keeps me challenged, and it keeps it fun. And you know, I wish I had a grid like Brian's, but I don't. But I mean, you know, it is what it is. But I mean, I don't have the grid restrict me on what I want to shoot or what I want to post, because if I like a photo, I'm going to post it, right? I don't know. Some people may agree and some people disagree. There's a whole like science to the grid. I get that, but I don't know. I think it's also dependent on what you want the grid on Instagram to be. You know, if I turn into a business, then obviously it's going to be a totally different ball game, right?
Yep. All right, Kobe, what would be?
What I would say is that I'll pick a bit from Paul's to start with. Shoot a lot, and then when you find a style that you resonate with or a style that you like, look out for people that shoot similar styles, and then take from them each element that you like and practice it one at a time. So if it's the way they light their pictures, you can take it from there and start learning the lighting style one at a time. If it's the way they edit, probably the way they retouch, pick it one at a time. If it's the dodge and bend, you pick that. If it's how they crop their image, you pick that. If it's the way they color grade their image, you can pick that and then learn it one at a time. Make sure that you've learned it enough that you feel it's appreciative. Then you can also consult people who shoot similar styles that you are focusing on, and then you ask them to review your work and give you feedback on it, whether it's something that they like or it's not something that they resonate with. So these things, you have to do them. You don't really have to necessarily put everything out there in order for you to create a style. You can create a style by focusing on the people that are in depth in terms of that particular style. Reach out to them. The worst they can say is no.
It's the worst thing.
Exactly.
People like helping, in my experience.
But then you keep working on it one step at a time. Don't pick it or jump it all together and then say that you want to do everything at once. These people that you like their styles, it took them a long time to like, a very huge learning curve. So you have to take your time, and at the right time, your style will be there without you knowing it, or with you really knowing it and seeing how you developed into it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say.
Awesome. Michael.
Well, my two buddies here have said quite enough. But then one thing I will also add is I keep saying it. Find yourself a mentor, just somebody you look up to. There is nothing you want to do that somebody somewhere hasn't done yet.
Yeah.
So find someone who has done it, someone whose style you think, this is the person I want to be with. And then approach the person, learn from the person. Once you have a mentor, it makes things easier for you. You get to try the gear before you even think of which one to go to, whether Nikon, Canon, or Sony. I'm sure your mentor will already have some that you can try. Also, now let's say you've gotten all these and you want to build up your style. Now you can try crowdsourcing. Do a couple of them, put them on social media. If you want social validation, ask your people which of them do you think use that crowdsourcing to see which style most people like. That if social validation is important to you, use that. Find out from people which style they prefer most. People do it like they post two different grades of their picture, and they ask the followers, which one do you think is the best? And by doing that, you'll be able to create and then find out which
I like
style
that.
people want to. So once you get that style, now you start leaning towards that, and then you do away with all the other pictures that don't follow that style.
Yeah,
Get
Good. I like that.
and that's really true. Especially finding that mentor. Granada works in the comments, and myself, we both had the same mentor when we first started. Kofi Asem, he was really good. He took us under his wings, and we still work with him sometimes, because sometimes we see all three of us doing one wedding, and doing stuff together. When I started off shooting Canon because my mentor was shooting Canon. Now I shoot Sony. He still shoots Canon. And Granada works. He also started shooting both Sony and Canon right now. So he's shooting a mix of both, right? So having a mentor at the beginning, it's really helpful because it kind of guides you and helps you to know which way to go. And it's very, very, very useful. Selorm, your turn.
All right, I thought you were gonna skip me.
No, I'm not.
No way.
No way.
All right. So my advice, if you are just starting, because I'm since I haven't developed a style yet, this might be good information for you. Is use the process of elimination. It's easier to know what you don't like than to finally determine what the only thing you want to do. So for example, I did school photography, and I would go to a school and shoot like 400 kids. And then I feel like I'm dying. My whole back, my body, my voice, everything is gone. So after a couple of months of doing that, I realized that was not for me. You understand? Even though the money was kind of okay, but it was not for me at all. So that part done, and then moving on. So,
elimination, yeah, I like that.
But like Paul and Katalist said earlier, shoot a lot, shoot a lot, and then also just like Ghananie said, as you shoot a lot and you keep posting the pictures, you see where the engagement is coming from. You see what people are asking you to shoot. So if you post different kinds of pictures and people are coming back to ask you to shoot one particular type of picture, that means that they believe you are good at that particular type of picture. So if you want to stay with what people think you're good at, that's one way to find out. But if your own happiness and mental health is important to you, shoot what makes you happy, and just hope that you become good at it one day. Yeah. All right, I'm done.
All right. So in terms of talking about sharing your work out there, for those of you that just joined us, I just said we've started a new Facebook group. It's called the Hybrid Photo Video Shooters. And what it is for us to be able to get out there as photographers and start sharing, and videographers and start sharing our work. So if you go out, you create short videos, a few images and stuff, go in that group, share it, get feedback from friends and people, right? The group is what we call safe space. We don't tolerate trolling. We don't tolerate mean stuff. If you're going to comment on people's stuff in the group, you have to be constructive, right? Give some constructive criticism that will help people grow. That's the whole purpose of the group. So link, it's down there. Go join and join that group.
And if you have YouTube videos too, just post them there.
Yeah. If you have YouTube videos too, post them in there.
Oh, man.
Yeah. 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 And last question, maybe before we go. What do you guys think? Do you think that your gear can influence your style? The gear you shoot with, the lighting setups that you use, can those kind of stuff influence your style?
Can we just give a simple answer?
Is it a yes or no answer?
Should we give a yes or no, or we should elaborate?
Elaborate just a little bit. 1 minute elaboration.
If we elaborate, we won't close.
If anybody listen, if anybody says no, I'll give them a pinhole camera. And send them to work.
The funny thing is that the two guys down below shoots the Nikon, so that's
which
why they want to take the time.
Okay, so you see, now there's segregation going on. They intentionally put us down here.
I see how it is.
They are looking down on you.
They intentionally put us down here.
Hey,
so
you know what?
Up there.
You know why they put us down here? So that if our battery goes off, we will not be seen.
So they won't get us tonight.
Now I put Paul down there.
Down below.
Oh, there you go. Oh.
Okay, so with gear, people keep asking, does gear matter? Charlie, I always say yes, it does. But if you don't have the money or if you don't have the budget, just make sure you learn to use what you have. The best is always what's in your hands. So if it's a pinhole camera you have, learn to use it and use it well. If it's the latest body lens lights that you have, make sure you learn it. I mean, of what use will it be if you have is it R5 or 6, but you don't know how to use it? It'll be useless.
Exactly.
You see, and the same way you can have maybe a D3 or a D3200, and you know every aspect of it. So gear really matters, but
know how to use it. Oh yeah.
Don't break your bank to get what you. Okay, Katalist is using is it A7?
A7R2.
So you also think, because his pictures are dope, so you also go and get A7R2.
Yep, I also need a 42 megapixel camera.
Exactly. Don't do that. Just make sure what you have, you learn how to use it. People are creating magic with just what they have. See, so use what you have until you can afford what you need. That has always been my motto.
Yeah, and be creative.
Yeah.
Be creative.
Wow, what a topic. I don't even know if I should speak right now. Okay.
Gonna go out.
What I would say is gear really matters if you are doing client work. Because you can't just take anything to shoot something which has been paid for.
Yeah.
So when it comes to client work, this is not a chance to compromise on the necessary gear to be used for the work. When it comes to your personal project or personal skill development, gear matters if you are looking for a specific gear that will resonate with a specific style you are learning.
Yeah.
So let's say you are going to learn landscape. Then if you are holding a 200 millimeter, you should know that maybe you have to find a way to get something that can help you with that. But then to break your back and say that, look, because I'm going to try and learn landscape, let me go buy a 10 to 18 millimeter, which probably costs, say, $2,000 just to learn it. It doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
You can go rent it or borrow it for a friend whatsoever. So gear matters about 80% of the time, especially if you do clients, then 100% of the time, your gear is necessary. If your gear is faulty, you replace it. If you are looking to go into a specific niche of photography, like billboards and stuff, then you know that the least you can shoot in a place like, let's say, New York, is to have a 100 megapixel camera to use. You can't use a 12 megapixel or 8 megapixel to go shoot that billboard ad whatsoever. So gear matters 100% in commercial client paying gigs. But when it comes to your personal stuff, it's a 50-50. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can create a whole niche with what you have, or you can just go get a gear to learn what you want to learn. So 50-50 for personal stuff, 100% for client stuff.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I think when you're trying to craft your style, gear it matters in two ways, right? Especially if you are somebody who has just started and you are not shooting raw. And if you're not shooting raw and you are here, please start doing it. I will encourage you at least shoot raw plus JPEG at least to get started with. And the reason why I say this is that, especially, we all know that when you're shooting the Canon, the colors coming right out of the Canon cameras are great for skin tones right away, right?
Canon, yeah,
I shoot Sony, and I know that right out of the gate, the colors that are coming is a little bit tinted towards the greenish side, right? So if you're shooting a JPEG,
Michael, we don't have that problem.
We never have it. No,
We don't have that problem.
That's magenta, pinky.
No.
So if I'm shooting JPEG that I want to edit, obviously my style is going to be impacted by the gear that I'm using, right? Also, when it comes to your style of shooting, some people will go natural light, some people will go off-camera flash. But even with that, there is the equipment that you're using, whether you're using speed lights or you're using strobes, will also affect your style, because they all have an impact on the image that you are coming out with out of camera that you're going to be editing one way or the other, right? But at the same time, like I always say, your focus should not be on getting the latest and greatest gear at all times. I'll tell you and I've told you guys all the time, when I first started shooting weddings, I was using a Rebel T5 entry-level APS-C camera. The only thing I probably upgraded at the beginning was to get the 50 f1.8 and an 85 millimeter lens. And with those two, I shot weddings, and the images were okay. But I quickly realized that for me to improve and get to where I want to be, I needed to upgrade some gear, right? So gear matters, but don't go break your bank because you want to upgrade your gear every year. Get to know the principles, exposure triangle, get to understand how to use the gear. So if I'm using a entry-level APS-C camera and I don't know how to operate it, if I go and spend $3,600 to get an R5, my image will still look the same because I don't know how to operate it.
It will even look worse.
It probably would even be worse, right? Assuming I'm shooting in P mode, program auto, right? And then I go and spend money to buy an R6 or an R5, and I'm still shooting in P mode, right? Or auto mode. There's no difference. Your images are going to end up being the same, right? So that's the whole thing. Gear matters, but understanding how to use the gear is more important.
Yeah,
for me,
100%.
Right.
The whole topic, man.
Wow. Yep. So we are 15 minutes over our time.
Do we get paid for that, or
let's begin to wrap up, guys. and in case you guys have not noticed, StreamYard has made it so easy to reposition everywhere.
Oh man, we're just
shuffling. Okay, so the Nikon guys are still down there.
Yeah, we are back to where we are.
Hey, look down on you guys.
Oh man.
Okay, so Jaron, we had a little break, but I don't want to jump the horse. We'll be back on Monday. Katalist, I know why you're smiling. Just keep it for me. Just keep it.
Yeah, because I see people asking any questions, you know?
Yeah. And Katalist is pumping the fuel into that.
Ghananie, I did all of this for you. All of this.
And then he has taken a break.
Monday, Katalist, Monday.
You can ask Mick how many times I've turned this thing down and then like
different styles, so different styles.
I'm whispering into your ears now. He told me that you had a killer setup. So Monday we'll resume, we'll resume our live session.
And guys, don't forget, Sunday is my birthday.
Sunday's your birthday?
Oh, happy birthday in advance, man.
Oh, man.
So
I'm getting
like
old
I know,
now.
and I said Monday we have something.
You have
I look like the youngest in this group.
I think so.
Monday you have to do a super chat for him.
Yes, we'll do a super chat
specifically
for him. Then we'll send it to his cash app.
That's cool.
Awesome. All right, guys. So last words. Anybody? Let's give some last words before we head out for the day.
Thanks so much.
Start, since you're in the upper left corner.
Oh yeah, thanks so much, guys, for coming on. Kobe and Michael. I think it was a good chat. I think there's a lot still to unwrap, but I think Evan said it best. Just use what you have, understand what you have, and I think again, just shoot as much as possible, and I think just to have fun. I think people put a lot of pressure on themselves to have like an amazing shot, and sometimes you don't get amazing shots. But if you have fun, the next day you're more inclined to go out and shoot. So that's kind of the pitch: is just to shoot as much as possible and have fun, and eventually you'll have your own style, you have your own brand. You'll have your own studio. You'll get on this show. It'll be lots of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I think right now I'm becoming a household name here.
Yeah,
you have become.
Now I know that I'm no longer part of Ghana. Ghana has to write me a letter for me to join him.
Yeah.
And it's been fun. I think one way that you guys as viewers can also help us is to put in the comments some of the topics that you would like us to discuss, and then we'll see how best we can have a discussion. It's always a discussion. This is not a tutorial. This is a discussion. And thank you guys for your time, and we are happy to be here with you.
And if anyone in the chat wants to come on one week, feel free, because this isn't restrictive.
Yeah, especially the women, the ladies.
Yeah, we're looking for some.
We need some variety in there.
Hey, I was the only one who brought a lady on the show.
You're the only person.
Yeah,
you got the ladies in here.
There was someone last week. I asked her, but she never messaged me.
Yeah. So, ladies, if you want to join us for one of the shows, just message us. Let's know. We want to have some variety in here.
Yeah, it'd be good, I think.
Yeah. All right, Mick, last comments. Oh,
right.
Go ahead.
Oh no, Mick can continue.
Okay. Yeah. So final words. Yes, we spoke about a lot today, but the gear part really got to me, because one thing I've learned is that there's so much more you can do with the gear you currently have, and there's a lot of times. Let's say you think this lens is going to take you to the next level. No. Yeah. Learn more about photography, about retouching, about there's so much you can do with a kit lens. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So I think the 105, is gonna take me the next level.
You know what? I want that lens too. We'll talk about that backstage for now.
But
Don't spoil people's minds.
I'm joining the queue.
Charlie, that 105, yeah, stop. Yeah, okay. Oh man. So learn your gear very well, learn your camera very well. The other time I went back to pick up my my very first camera, which is a Nikon D5200, and I was like, there's so much this camera can do, but all the time that I had it, I thought I needed something that was full frame, that was this, that was that. And I actually used it for a shoot. Nobody noticed. And, it's the same number of likes, whatnot on the pictures. I'm like, this is interesting. So it's not always about gear. So just keep that in mind. Don't waste your money. Spend your money learning. If you want to buy classes, or there's a lot of free stuff. Ghananie over here teaching free stuff from beginning to end, retouching, So go watch stuff. Yeah. All right. That's it.
All right, guys. So thank you for joining us. Like I always say, without you guys, we're not here. We're here because of you guys, right? So keep coming, keep supporting our channels. Look in the description below. Everybody here's Instagram and YouTube channels are all down below. Go show some love. Don't forget to like, comment on this video as well.
Please.
And don't forget, join the videography group. And also there is another group that we have as well that is specifically targeted at YouTubers as well. So check those groups out. Share. The whole purpose is to us to share, learn together, have a place for you to go and post out stuff without without getting worried about someone judging your work. The whole idea is for help one other grow. So
yeah,
stay strong, guys, and we will see you next Wednesday on Open Shadows.
thanks
And
everyone for jumping on. Have a great evening.
Peace.
Peace.